Join us on Geek Blood, the show you can't ignore. Ray and Kevin diving deep into all things galore. Comic book, movie, sci-fi, and action thrill. Reviewing new TV shows, we keep it real, real. Reminiscing the attitude era, wrestling at its peak. Nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, memories we seek. Pineapples for our rings, a unique touch. Geek culture in our blood, we love it so much. Geek Blood forever, we love it so much. Geek Blood, where we talk about it all, from superheroes to wrestlers. We stand tall, Ray and Kevin, the dynamic duo in sight. Geek Blood, shining bright, shining bright. Did you hear about Pluto? Let's messed up right. Geek Blood, taking you on a nostalgia flight. From movies to TV, we cover it all. Join us every week, we'll have a ball. Shuffle.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much, man. How are you?
Doing good. Let's jump into what we watched this week. Jump right into the show. I have not watched Cape Fear today. We will skip that. I think it's episode 7, so we'll talk about that next week. But we did watch the 3rd episode of House of Dragon season 3. I know we're on now. Got a few more answers to some questions I asked a couple weeks ago. We see Lord Ormond Hightower, who his uncle is Uncle Otto. Otto is the father of Alicent. And he is running an encampment, and he's protecting Prince Daeron Targaryen. Who there's a big twist in this episode where he supposedly hands him over to Daemon. And the swerve of the century happens at the end of the episode, and they find out it's not actually him. It was a kid that they just dyed his hair blonde.
Yes.
And said it was him. And once Alicent saw him, he was like, "Oh, that's not my son." So this Ormond Hightower is protecting Daeron Targaryen, who is the kid who's playing Zelda. That's the only thing I know. So he's going to have a big part in this role. He's Alicent's youngest son. And he has a blue dragon, which we actually see in the beginning of this episode. This episode is different than most we've seen. It did not start off with the credits. It started off with Daemon talking to this group of people, asking them to surrender once Rhaenyra took the throne. So that was a great beginning to this episode. But the whole episode's all the fallout of Rhaenyra taking the throne and being haunted by her past in King's Landing. Missing the crown's wealth. Somehow the wealth of the crown from the royals is gone. So they have no money for anything, not even for a reception for her to become queen. And there are rats everywhere because the rat catchers are gone.
Yes.
And there's a scene in this show where she serves rats to a whole bunch of rich folk in the city, saying this is what the peasants were eating while you guys were eating and getting fat. While the other reign was taken over, while Aegon was taken over. And we do see a quick cameo from Dan Fogler, who, if you've ever seen, God, he's been in so many things, but he's been in the Fantastic Beasts movies, the Harry Potter series. He's been in a bunch of comedies back in the day, probably 20 years ago. But he had a cameo as Lord Torrhen Manderley. I don't know if you know who he is. I know in the books he has a significant part. I'm just not sure.
The Manderleys do have a significant part that were left out of the main show. Right now in the books, the Manderleys have Rickon, and they're planning. There's this whole thing with Winterfell because it's being held by the Boltons with the fake Arya Stark, married to Ramsay. and the Mandalese have Rickon, and they're playing along with the Boltons as if they're friends with them or whatever liege lords to them. And they're planning to basically take over Winterfell by gathering all the other northern houses. Well, at the same time, Jon Snow, who in books last time we saw him was stabbed, was planning to go in there and extract Arya himself. Well, also, the King Beyond the Wall is also in Winterfell working for Jon, which is why he ends up getting stabbed in the books. It's a whole other thing. It's not just because he worked with the wildlings, it's because he basically is breaking all of his oaths as Lord Commander and wants to try to save Winterfell. So that's the whole thing. Should we ever get that conclusion? But yeah, the Mandalorians in the books right now would be his great grandson would be the one holding Rickon and planning to basically take over Winterfell and install Rickon as the king of the North, basically.
Okay. Yeah, so completely left out of Game of Thrones and bringing that family into this series. So played by who we see, a matriarch of the family, played by Dan Fogler. So overall, great episode. And Rhaenyra has a lot on her plate right now. Do not envy her being queen. Everybody's kind of looking at her funny. You kind of have an idea that everybody's looking at her like, yeah, you're not supposed to be here. Everybody from the outside looking in.
It's the first time to
everybody happy.
It's the first time in the show I feel like they've actually shown the weight of what happens when you have to become the new king or queen. They haven't shown that way yet, and of course she has all these decisions to make, and it pisses off a lot of people that are loyal to her. Of course, as we see with Sea Snake and whatnot.
Of course, yeah.
Yep.
Crazy episode. Great season so far. We'll talk about the fourth episode next week. Speaking of great episodes, Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness episode 2 was fantastic.
Yes, it was.
Did you want to talk about the bear? I forgot to put that in here. If you wanted to, I don't know if you caught up on it.
Oh yeah, I did watch the bear. I finished that last night around 1 a.m. before I went to bed. I love that show, and I think it ended perfectly. The last episode was a little emotional. It was all very good. It was very well done. They did a great job. Loved it. I really want to look. I mean, the first season of that show was still it's easily the best season of that show. Start to finish, it's a fucking amazing season. But yeah, overall, great show. 4.5 out of 5 overall, I think. Very good. They did a good job.
Yeah, awesome show. Now we can get into Life, Larry, and Pursuit of Unhappiness. Great episode. A couple of things of note we're going to talk about, though. First of all, Seinfeld shows up.
Yes,
Lewis and Clark. Great segment of this. And the second part of this is two things. Jimmy Kimmel shows up. They're making a joke about how presidents can't become kings, and they can't take notice against people talking shit about them. Well, Jimmy Kimmel shows up, and the joke is in itself right there, because of everything that happened with him and Trump. But the other thing that showed up in this episode was a month before he got killed, before he got murdered. Rob Reiner filmed this scene. He played George Washington, standing in a pulpit talking to a crowd. He shaved his beard off and everything.
Yep.
And it's the very last thing he acted in before he got murdered by his son. So, great to see that. I do love Rob Reiner in the movies he's done. So, great touching tribute at the end of the episode in the credits as well. It was
I still can't believe that happened. I still can't believe that happened. Like, that's just insane. Insane shit.
4 or 5 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's like something you see on like 48 Hours with somebody that isn't famous.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, definitely not a famous story. You're right. X-Men 97 episode 4. Have you been watching this series at all?
No, I have not.
Oh my god. Episode 4 is incredible. Everything that the MCU got wrong in the last decade, it seems like this season wants to fix. We see Celestials in this. We see the creation of Apocalypse, which is attempted by the Fox universe in X-Men Apocalypse a decade ago, little under a decade ago, with bad results. Looked weird. Oscar Isaac played him. Done fantastically well in this series. And we see Kang. We see his true form. We see him doing a whole bunch of multiversal fuckery. He goes back to the past in Egypt. and he helps create Apocalypse using alien celestial technology. And the end of the episode, spoiler, Magneto goes one-on-one against Apocalypse, and Apocalypse disintegrates the fuck out of him with a cannon. It is an awesome emotional scene. There's so much emotion in this, especially when Charles Xavier is looking on, watching Apocalypse from behind with a cannon blast him into smithereens and watches him disintegrate before his eyes. The only thing left is his helmet. If you see the pictures on YouTube, it's the top one on the right there. But fucking incredible episode. And there was an after credits scene as well. We see Wolverine meeting Captain America and Black Widow, comic accurate Black Widow. And he hands over a folder that says Weapon X on the front of it. There's 2 episodes of note in the original X-Men series and from the 90s. The first one is we do see the Weapon X program in that series. So we see him turn into Wolverine. We see him get the adamantium. We also see a flashback. I believe it's the second to last. It's either the 5th season. I can't remember what episode it is. But we see a flashback of Wolverine in World War II with Captain America, and they have a team-up episode. So this is kind of a continuation of that. And when he's handed this folder that says Weapon X on the front of it, Wolverine says, "Looks like we're getting the band back together." Could mean a whole bunch of things. We know the Weapon X program created Sabretooth, Deadpool, and X-23, which we have not seen in the animated series. We briefly seen Deadpool a couple of times. Sabretooth was throughout the whole entire beginning series from the 90s. So we know, I think through the trailer, we've seen a couple of shots of Deadpool, so I would not be surprised if we see Deadpool next week. I can't remember what next week's episode, but I know it's Weapon X related, is what the previews say. So great series. If you're not watching X-Men 97, you should be. If you love the series back in the day, it's a continuation of that, but they're able to up the ante a little bit more than they were for a Fox morning kids television show.
Yes.
They wouldn't outright kill characters like they do in this series. So it's fucking fantastic. The other big show that we need to talk about this week, which I know you've watched, was Dark Side of the Ring Season 7 returned with an epic 2-episode premiere. All about the creation of TNA Wrestling, Jeff Jarrett, the big main focus of this. Jeff Jarrett, if you don't know who he is, he was a wrestler in WWE. His father is Jerry Jarrett. He's been around forever. He used to be a wrestler, became a promoter. And Jeff was I would say, mid-card wrestler in the 90s. He had a kind of like a country music gimmick before I was watching. When I started watching in the Attitude Era, he had the guitar and he used to hit people over the head.
Correct.
That was his gimmick.
Yes.
And the whole entire beginning of this episode begins with the end of his WWE career, which was the infamous night where Owen Hart fell from the ceiling in the rafters. Mm-hmm. And he was at the time his tag team partner, him and Deborah. And he had to go out and perform after that gruesome thing happened, and he actually saw the indentation in the ring. We talked about that a little bit. And just a gruesome thing that happened. And because of that, he didn't last long in WWF after that. And he went to WCW. That in itself was fucking crazy because he had to go one-on-one with Russo, and he was kind of Russo's picked man, him and Booker T, but it was him that became the champion the longest in that run with Russo. In fact, watching these 2 episodes, I went back and watched the infamous finger poke of doom from Bash at the Beach 2000, where Jeff Jarrett just laid down in the ring because Hogan put his creative control clause at use and said he did not want to lose the title, or he wanted to win it a certain way, and Russo was pissed. So he told Jarrett to lay down in the ring and just see if Hulk pins you, and that's what he did. And then after that, Hulk Hogan sued WCW. That was his very last night on WCW. Hulk Hogan sued him because after Hulk Hogan left the arena, Vince Russo came out and gave a scathing promo, pretty much bashing everything about Hogan. Isn't it incredible?
We had discussed before because they did an entire episode of that on Dark Side of the Ring. So,
fucking insane. Nuts.
I mean, Jeff Jarrett went to WCW. He went to WCW in like the dark days of WCW.
Yeah, the very end. Yeah, when everything was falling apart.
Yeah.
And then openly being fired when Vince McMahon bought WCW, openly being fired on the very last Nitro, saying, "I'm going to fire you, Jeff Jarrett," was the ending, and that's where he kind of came up with the idea after he left WCW to start his own thing with the help of NWA, with the help of his father Jerry, and he created TNA Wrestling, NWA TNA at the time. And I remember the early days of TNA. I loved it. I remember it used to be on. Was it on Spike TV at the time?
It was, yes. Before that, it was pay-per-view. It was weekly pay-per-views for $10 each. I believe R-Truth won the title in the very first show. They didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I remember.
I believe R-Truth won the NWA title on the very first show.
Yeah, but I remember the early days. It was awesome. I don't remember the CM Punk. I know CM Punk was there for a little short amount of time. It may have been during the pay-per-view time before the Spike TV deal. But yeah, AJ Styles going to start there. Samoa Joe. I remember Abyss was there. They had
Abyss
a huge,
was awesome,
great.
yeah.
And then everything changed when Kurt Angle. They talk about it. Kurt Angle came into the company. He left WWE.
And the Hardy Boys.
Everything changed. Yeah, and everything changed after that. And then everybody started jumping. All the old guys from WCW were there at one point. Everybody that got fired from WWE showed up there and became champion. Like Christian Cage became a champion there. Mick Foley did a stunt there. Next week's episode, this is a 3-part premiere. So they did 2 this week. Next week is all about when Dixie Carter took over. They talked a little bit about it this episode and how crazy she is, and how full of herself she is, I guess you could say. And next week she hires Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff to kind of turn how the company is going to give more prominence to the company, give more eyes watching it, thinking that Hogan would be the catalyst to that.
Was that the night Jeff Hardy debuted on TNA? Was their first night when they were going head to head with Raw?
I don't remember. It was that night, yeah.
Okay. Did you come over for that? I can't remember. But that was when I watched TNA on a weekly basis for probably the first time outside of catching random shows.
Yeah,
because it was kind of exciting being a wrestling fan again for the first time in whatever amount of years.
Yeah, we may have done that. I don't remember, but yeah, they're going to talk all about that and the fallout of that because the fans did not eat that up like Dixie Carter had hoped. They actually booed Hulk Hogan out of the building because everybody loved Jeff Jarrett. They loved TNA. They knew Jeff Jarrett was a heart of that, and seeing Hulk Hogan come in there and doing Hulk Hogan things and just running his mouth and having the creative control of this was annoying, knowing what happened in WCW. I'm sure the fans were not happy because of that reason. So cannot wait to talk about it. I'm glad the show is back. If you don't watch Dark Side of the Ring, I know there are some prior seasons on Hulu. I'm not sure. I know this season you have to either buy or find by. I think the first episode's on YouTube, but or you can buy the episodes on iTunes. But yeah, it's a great series, worth watching. They're on the 7th season, so there's a lot of history there. If you've not watched, then you catch up on. But it's an awesome show, and I'm glad it's back. A couple movies we're going to talk about. First one, briefly going to mention because it was 4th of July last week. I watched a 4th of July movie. Born on the 4th of July. I have seen a lot of Tom Cruise movies. This is one I haven't seen. I'm sure you've seen it probably a long time ago. 1989 this came out, and this is Tom Cruise right at the peak of his career. It was like Rain Man came out right around this time. He played a Vietnam War vet, and it talks about him being recruited into the army, going to Vietnam, being injured, and being wheelchair bound for the rest of his life, becoming a paraplegic, and him dealing with that struggles, and then eventually. It's all based on a true story, by the way, done by Oliver Stone, who did Platoon. He's done a few other. I think he did JFK. But this is kind of Tom Cruise in a way I haven't seen him ever. A weakened state where he had to kind of act without being able to walk around. He had to act with his wheelchair a lot. And be emotional and show a lot of his emotion through his arms and through other movement with his wheelchair and stuff. But Willem Dafoe had a little quick cameo in this as well. In the middle of the movie, Kira Sedgwick, who was the wife of Kevin Bacon, was in this when she was younger. Overall, great movie. One of Tom Cruise's best, probably acting movies I've seen in a while. I love Rain Man, so I love this era of Tom Cruise for sure. So yeah, glad I watched it. Wasn't sure what I was going to expect because Platoon was a great movie. I love the first scene of it, but the beginning of it, the end of it was kind of weird. But yeah, this is kind of I guess he had a trilogy. There's this Platoon, and there was another one he did later on in the 90s. I can't remember what it was called, but there was kind of a trilogy of his Vietnam, because he was a Vietnam War vet, Oliver Stone. But the big movie we're going to talk about, because the Odyssey comes out next week. I've been holding this off for a while. I wanted to watch Troy. And this came out in 2004. And Troy is not the Odyssey. It's actually based off the prequel of the Odyssey, which was the Iliad. The Iliad by Homer, done 3,500 years ago. It was found in written word and text in strange ways. It was never like a book. They say that it kind of, this and the Odyssey were kind of handed down as stories told,
mythological. Yeah,
eventually somebody wrote those stories down on paper or on stone or whatever, and they got passed down. And this is one of the stories that Homer wrote. The other one we're going to see next week is the Odyssey, but this is loosely based off the Iliad, which is the final battle of the war to get to Troy, the Trojan horse, and all of that. Which we know the Odyssey from the trailer is going to show the end of that war with the Trojan horse in the beginning of the movie. So we're going to get a little bit of glimpse of everything. This movie was directed by Wolfgang Petersen. He was a director of The Neverending Story, Air Force One, The Perfect Storm. So he's got a pedigree of all these epic kind of fantasy movies, action movies, dramas, little mix of everything. And you talked about it last week. We talked about it a little bit this week, but the movie was originally pitched to Christopher Nolan back then. And you want to tell that story again, what you said last week about Nolan and Batman Begins and Batman versus Superman?
Wolfgang has started pre-production on this movie, and Warner Bros. Wanted to do Batman versus Superman essentially. So they asked Wolfgang to do that instead. And they gave this to Nolan, who was coming off Insomnia, I believe. Basically, so Nolan was started doing the pre-production, took over, and they were getting ready to film, and then Wolfgang got the script for Batman vs. Superman and decided to not do that movie anymore because it's a fucking terrible idea.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And decided to continue with this movie, so he came back to Troy, and because they weren't going to do Batman vs. Superman, but they wanted a new Batman. Otherwise, something happens with the rights if they don't do a Batman movie every so often. So they offered Nolan to do whatever he wanted to do with Batman, and that was probably the greatest thing for Nolan's career as a filmmaker, even though he's not a Batman guy. That's what put him in the general audiences, the limelight there. And Wolfgang went back and did Troy, and now it's kind of coming full circle. Except it's not for Warner Brothers, because Troy was for Warner Brothers, and now it's for is
Universal,
obviously Paramount or Universal. Yeah, Universal.
Yeah, Universal.
So it's full circle moment.
Just imagine if that Batman and Superman movie had been made, the trajectory of how comic book movies would have been in the late 2000s. We wouldn't have got this big, huge. We talk about it all the time. Once a movie like The Dark Knight comes out, all the other studios rush to make a more reality-based superhero, and that's kind of how the basis of the MCU happened. Iron Man was a basis of what would happen if Iron Man was in the real world. We wouldn't have got that. We wouldn't have got the MCU. We wouldn't have got the Watchmen. There's a lot of reality-based stuff that we would have got that were kind of based off the success of the Dark Knight trilogy. So what would have happened if we got that Batman versus Superman that early on? It would have been crazy, but this also was written by David Benioff.
Yep.
The author and writer of a movie called 25th Hour, which I'm sure you've seen, because that had Edward Norton. This is an older movie.
Oh yeah, I love
20
the
years
25th
ago.
Hour. Also an Oliver Stone film.
Oh, it is, okay. Yeah, he wrote that. He wrote the book and then he wrote the screenplay. And Edward Norton's in it. Co-created Game of Thrones, the series. And he was a writer and producer of a future Star Wars film that ended up being canceled in 2019 because of the He got a $200 million Netflix deal, which I think there's only 2 things that came out of it, and one of them was a Leslie Jones comedy special so far. So I wonder what his Star Wars movie would have been. A lot of people say it was going to be Old Republic related.
That was just.
I don't know.
I feel like that was just because of Game of Thrones.
Because of Game of Thrones, yeah.
That's my guess.
The movie stars Brad Pitt as Achilles. You know, Achilles heel. You know that.
Yep.
Eric Bana. This was Eric Bana right after the Hulk movie, the Marvel Hulk movie. Him and Orlando Bloom play 2 brothers from the Trojan War, from the Trojans. Diane Kruger as Helen of Troy. Sean Bean as Odysseus, who is played by Matt Damon in the Odyssey. He's the one that kind of stars in the Odyssey. And you got Brian Cox, Brendan Gleeson, Rose Byrne, very young Rose Byrne. This must have been one of her first movies. And Peter O'Toole, an actor, iconic actor from way back in the day, showed up in this as well. It's just a story of how the Trojans were going against the Greeks and everything, and how crazy that war was, and the Trojan horse of it all. I thought that was depicted well at the very end, the last 10-15 minutes of this movie, when the Trojan horse gets brought into Troy, and they invade it and they kill everybody. And there was a lot of baby tossing in this movie, which I did not expect. At the end, they were tossing babies in fires. Overall, decent movie, although it was panned. That's why it took me forever to watch it, because it was one of those movies that was always very much panned by critics and fans back in the day. But Brad Pitt being Brad Pitt, he's just great in a lot of things. Even if the movie's terrible, he kind of can hold it on his shoulders. So overall, decent movie. Glad I watched it before we get into the Odyssey next week. I'm not sure even when we're watching it, but kind of a brief synopsis of what happened beforehand and how Odysseus has to make his return back home from after the war ends at Troy. So be interested to see that. And I know the gods are going against him, and there's a lot of mythical creatures that he meets along the way, and cannot wait to see how Nolan tackles that. He doesn't deal with the mythical too much, but so yeah, be interesting. So that being said, let's jump into the news. And it's not a news time on the trailer roundup. A movie executive produced by Michael B. Jordan called The Greatest, all about the rise of Cassius Clay before he becomes Muhammad Ali. It's a biopic series. It's coming out on Amazon Prime on November 4th. Trailer looked decent. Michael B. Jordan must have a deal on Prime because he some sort of a deal
he
with Prime
does,
because he's doing his Creed movie there as well. So yeah. Also, a trailer for the Oasis reunion. It's a documentary coming out on September 11th on IMAX. Oasis, the band, they were broken up. They're brothers. They always fought all the time. And they came back last year, did a little small tour. In this documentary, obviously, they were hoping probably there would be some drama between the 2 brothers, but they, from all points, and everybody's saying it was a love fest the whole entire year last year when they were together. So, interested in that. I may watch that when it comes out. Also got a brand new trailer for Hunger Games: Sunrise of the Reaping. Comes out November 20th. Very interested in that as well. I love the lore of that, and how they're going to tell that story. So this was interesting news because this is a spinoff of the Megan movies, the AI movies. And Megan, there's a movie called Soulmate. It was supposed to come out in the theaters. They dropped it out of the schedule last year, or I guess it was actually last month or a couple months ago. And now it's going direct to video on August 1st. So I'm not sure if that means bad or good, or they just thought maybe it wasn't going to do it well in theaters, so they just decided to release it at home. But trailer looked okay. It's about a sex doll instead of a robot, just a home robot like made. It's actually a sex doll that you can order, and it starts to fall in love with the occupant or the person who buys or rents it, whoever buys the doll, and starts to take over and get jealous of everybody that's kind of friends with the guy that this sex bot's supposed to be working for. So On paper, sounds interesting, but yeah, if it's going direct to video, I'm not sure about that. But want to bring that up. Mobland. A lot of drama behind the scenes with Mobland. We talked about it with Tom Hardy, but they did release the trailer for season 2. Trailer looks awesome. I love the first season. Cannot wait to watch it. Paramount comes out on Paramount. I don't remember the date. I do have it somewhere, but yeah, I cannot wait. I love the cast of that. We got Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, Patty Constantine. You've seen him and everything. He played Viserys. Is that his name from House of Dragons season 1? Yep. So yeah, great show, worth watching. That's on Paramount first season if you want to watch it before second season comes out. I have been itching for a R-rated comedy. I'm not sure if this is going to be it or not, but I love Dave Franco. I love O'Shea Jackson, who's Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson Jr. Movie called Idiots. The film follows 2 unqualified bozos who are hired to transfer a rich kid to rehab, but their gig quickly turns into mayhem. Comes out August 28th. I just watched Superbad last night for the umpteenth time.
Yeah, we talked about this before. We have not.
Yeah,
like
we haven't had a great.
I know you
comedy.
liked that movie about the dog. I didn't think it was that funny.
Yeah. I don't remember. It wasn't
with
like
Will
this.
Forte.
It wasn't like yeah.
But like we haven't had a good comedy. Like I think Dave Franco's usually really good with this. So yeah.
So, we need something to push limits.
Everybody's conscious these days about shit, and it's like it's fucking comedy. Like get over it. Like it's supposed to be offensive. Comedy has never not been offensive. It's fucking what comedy is. You're making fun of somebody or something or some group every time you do anything with comedy. So
very excited to see Scary Movie 6, although it got panned, but I don't really care. I love the Wayans brothers. I love that type of comedy, so I will watch that. Another, I don't know about you, but trailers are shorter and shorter. They're almost like a half breed between a commercial
and they're like teasers. They're all like teasers
like
now.
They're like less than a minute now. We got a Godzilla Minus Zero was supposed to be a teaser trailer.
I'm not watching
stunning. This movie.
I can't wait.
The movie looks fucking stunning. I can't wait either. November 6th, all filmed on IMAX. And Godzilla, they show in this trailer a nuclear warhead being shot at Godzilla because they're trying to awaken him. Why? Why would you do that? You know what's going to happen. He's a nuclear monster. So, and we know that he's going to show up in New York City. He's going to show up around the different cities around the world. So cannot wait. November 6th opens in theaters. Cannot wait for that. But the big trailer this week was we got the full trailer for Dune Part 3. Comes out December 18th. This is going to be shown in front of the Odyssey next week. That's why they released it. Timothy Chalamet going face to face with Zendaya on the poster there, and with the sun setting or rising in the background. Jason Momoa, a whole bunch of other people are in this movie. Anna Taylor-Joy. Robert Pattinson looks very, very strange, very enemy-like in this. So Javier Bardem also great in this series. So cannot wait. Florence Pugh is in this as well. It's just great cast, great director.
You're seeing Doomsday first, right?
I am seeing Doomsday and Dune probably the same day.
Yeah, I'm not sitting in the theater for 6 hours.
I don't care. I'm either going to sit home and watch a movie after or go there and just stay the day, which I've done before. I've seen 3 movies in a row, so it doesn't hurt me any. I don't have a life. So, so those are the trailers this week. Box office last weekend. Considering it was a 4th of July weekend, everybody's busy for the weekend. It was a very, very low box office. Minions vs. Monsters opened. A continuation of the Despicable Me movie series. 36.4 million, which is kind of low for that series. Toy Story 4 in the 3rd week. Number 2, 31 million. Young Washington, a movie done by a studio, Angel Studios, which is a religious studio, all about George Washington and before he was kind of a general before the War for Independence and all that. It was number 3 with 20.8 million. Because of that, they ended up greenlighting a sequel to that movie called 1976, which we're going to talk about George Washington going into the War for Independence. So, but the news of last week was Supergirl. Bombed even further on the second weekend, earned just 9.6 million in the domestic, dropping 74% from its debut, one of the lowest. I think it's the second steepest drop ever for a DC film, only behind Joker Folie à Deux, which was 81%. The total domestically so far up, this was Monday or Sunday, was 58 million domestically, 100 million worldwide. Had a $170 million budget, plus you add in 120 for marketing. It's probably not going to make its money back. It's going to be a big loss for Warner Brothers. Obsession, number 5, still made.
Love it.
$17 million last weekend. Fucking crazy. And it was out on digital.
You can fucking buy it. And you can buy it.
Backrooms number 6 comes out on Tuesday. Backrooms 12 million number 6. So yeah, crazy. By comparison, a 2-week drop. The Flash was 72 million. Morbius 73.8 million. Supergirl was like 50. Superman dropped 53.2 million in the second week. So Supergirl a little bit higher on that list. And this week, getting into the TV news of the week, we got the Emmy nominations. Best limited series. The only one of these I've seen was DTF St. Louis. I liked it. I wasn't too in love with the ending of it though. Best actress in a comedy series. The only one we would know is Ayo Edebiri from The Bear. All the other shows we haven't watched. Best actor in a comedy series. Jason Segel for Shrinking. Matthew Rhys for Widow's Bay. Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building. Yaya for Wonder Man. Great that he got a nomination for that in an actor category. Steve Carell in Rooster. He was great in that series as well. Emmy nominations for Best Comedy Series. Widow's Bay. Great series. Hacks. Have not seen it here. It's all about stand-up comedy. Abbott Elementary. Don't watch it. Watch the first season. I liked it. Was not in love with it. Shrinking. Great. Only Murders. Great. The Bear. Great. Margot's Got Money Troubles. Great. And Nobody Wants This. I don't know what that is, but a lot of the shows I watch, so that's pretty interesting. Best Drama Series. Best Actress in Drama Series. Rhea Seehorn for Pluribus. Zendaya for Euphoria. Kerry Russell for The Diplomat. Chase Infinity for The Testament. And Carrie Coon for Gilded Age. Best Drama Actor. I don't watch The Pit in a while. Paradise, Sterling K. Brown. He's great in that show. I hear Gary Oldman is fantastic in Slow Horses. I have not watched that. I hear he's great in that. Mark Ruffalo for Task. Rufus Sewell for The Diplomat. And Best Drama Series. I think we watched a lot of these. The Pit, Pluribus, Paradise, Slow Horses, The Diplomat, The Gilded Age, Your Friends and Neighbors, and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yes.
Welcome to Derry, shut out of that category. I think it came out way too late. It was like at the beginning of the Emmy nomination season, so it was forgot about in all these categories, unfortunately, except for a couple technical awards, which is the best show I've seen this year. Is It Welcome to Derry, the best show that actually had a great ending. Great. If the series ended in the last episode, it had a great ending. Pluribus nominated for 18 Emmys, including the drama series, lead actress, supporting actor, guest actress, a whole bunch of categories. Widow's Bay, which I talked every week about. I love that series. Had the most nominations for a comedy outside of Hacks. Best comedy series, best lead actor, best supporting actor, Stephen Root. If you see Milton from Office Space, guest actor, comedy writing, directing, casting, all of that. Spider Noir nominated for 11 awards itself. And a lot of those were technical awards as well. Design, music, lyrics, cinematography, effects, makeup, mixing, editing, all that. Same with Knights of the Seven Kingdom, best drama series, cinematography, sci-fi, fantasy, costumes, hairstyling, editing, visual effects.
I wonder if Pluribus is going to win a lot of this.
I think Widow's Bay is the underdog of this. I think it could take a lot of awards. I think
Pluribus is just like the darling of critics, it seems.
That it's kind of like the studio was last year. You're right. The Pit topped the nominations this year with 25.
I gotta watch The Pit.
I don't think I can watch medical stuff. I'm not a huge fan of, and I hear it's great. I hear it's very graphic. I'm not sure if I want to watch that. Hacks, comedy series is number 2 nominated shows of the year with 24 nominations. Widow's Bay 19, Pluribus 18, Beef 16, DTF St. Louis 13, SNL 11. So yeah, a lot of nominations for different series, all of them streaming, by the way. Anthony Starr has never been nominated for his role as Homelander in The Boys. Wanted to mention that. Some documentaries were nominated for Best Documentary. The American Revolution, great documentary. Mr. Scorsese, the Martin Scorsese documentary on Apple TV, great documentary. And the Mel Brooks, The 99-Year-Old Man, another great documentary on HBO Max. And Michael J. Fox lands an Emmy nom for Shrinking after ending his 5-year acting retirement just to come on that show. And posthumously, for a role in The Bear, for a guest acting role last season, Rob Reiner has an Emmy nomination for his role as to which,
good.
If it's the Emmys, chances are he's probably going to win that just because of the stance of what happened. So yeah, Emmys happened in September. We'll talk all about that in a couple months. Let's jump into the rest of the news. Netflix has discussed adding live channels and streaming bundles to their homepage. So it's becoming cable. Streaming bundles would include
It's funny you
selling
said that.
subscriptions.
I canceled Netflix like as we were going on the air when the intro was playing. I can't because I just realized I hadn't watched Netflix forever. I was looking at the notes and I was like, I'm gonna cancel that.
I was thinking the same thing. The only reason I'm not, because I do watch Raw every Monday. If I could find other ways to get around that, you don't do that either.
I probably will pick it up but I'm never home on Monday nights for Raw anyways, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
3 hours of wrestling is a lot when the product isn't great.
Yeah, the product's not good right now. And
like I see all the Danhausen clips on Twitter. So,
and to be honest, watching Raw, he's not there. It's mostly SmackDown, and I don't watch SmackDown at all. I haven't watched SmackDown ever. So, live channels would include ones that constantly stream movies and TV shows from the same genre. So, in other words, it's cable, or if you have like Plex, or if you have other one of these, like have these channels that watch shows and they just air 24 hours a day, like The Office or Parks and Rec, or those have these channels. That's basically what's going to be.
What's that free one? Pluto TV.
Pluto, they do that too. And another news, Disney is exploring a free version of Disney Plus. Only select amount of movies and television shows would be available on this version of the service, but they saw what YouTube is doing. YouTube is huge right now. YouTube also has their paid tier is great because it's commercial free. So if you're watching, you don't have ads pop up.
I watch YouTube more than any other streaming service.
That's probably what I do too. Nowadays,
always find a video. Going to bed if I just need to throw something on while I'm in bed. Yep, I throw something on. Usually, I've got a great channel actually. It's each video is like 3.5 hours. I probably told you about it a million times, but it's basically the channel's literally like Game of Thrones lore to fall asleep to, and the guy like talks like ASMR and just talks about lore for like 3 hours per video. Great. I'm asleep in 10 minutes. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I watch a lot of podcasts on there. I watch a lot of stuff to prep for the show here. So, Netflix, Paramount, and Sony Pictures are reportedly in talks to buy Letterboxd. I think this is a horrible idea because Letterboxd is a great thing for Hollywood right now. Great thing for social.
Maybe they can make it more intuitive because the app itself sucks trying to find people and shit like that. Like, there's a couple things to change around, but yeah, I don't know.
I would hate to have a studio buy it though. That would be biased for everything.
Yep, it's like when Rotten Tomatoes got bought by like Warner Brothers and Disney. Like all these studios pitched in for Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep. Getting into some more TV news of the week. HBO has passed on the current draft of V for Vendetta. We announced last year that V for Vendetta was becoming a series on HBO. They passed on it, and they may shop it around and further develop it later on down the line. So, I love the original movie. And I know this is probably a reason for this is probably because the Watchmen series works so well on HBO. Probably why they greenlit this series. So I'm sure it'll happen eventually. Talking about some movies this week, a Britney Spears biopic is going to happen, directed by John M. Chu, and a script by the New Girl creator. I'm not sure about that. I like biopics, but I'm not sure if I'm in the Britney Spears demographic or not. So, Heat 2, we've been talking about that for a while. They did officially announce the casting for it. Christian Bale, Leonardo DiCaprio were announced to star in it. They're going to be playing the main characters of the movie. Taking the part of Robert De Niro's character in that movie will be Stephen Graham, who has been in everything. He is everybody loves him and what they've seen him in. I've seen him in a few things. I know he was in the Venom movie. Other than that, I think I've seen him in other things as well. I liked him in. And Adam Driver is being eyed to play the villain of the movie. So, Heat 2 happened about 30 years too late, but I will watch it because I like the first one so much. So, and Dwayne Johnson, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen with The Rock when he did a dramatic movie. He was going to get more roles. He's got another role coming out called Freebird. It's film follows a Las Vegas motorcycle stuntman who conceals his dementia diagnosis from everyone as he risks doing his last jump. I liked the what was that called? The Smashing Machine.
Smashing Machine.
I liked it, but it was The Rock.
He fucking
differentiate.
He nailed Mark Kerr. Like he fucking nailed Mark Kerr. He talked like The Rock. Like his voice. He didn't change his voice, but every mannerism, he was amazing as Mark Kerr in that movie. He deserved all the praise.
Yeah, it was okay. Another movie, I don't know why this is happening, but Free Willy is being rebooted for Warner Brothers. Free Willy was huge when we were kids. And it was so big that they stopped putting orcas, killer whales, in SeaWorld. Mm-hmm. It started a big, huge thing, and eventually, I can't remember the documentary that came out on Netflix that came out and was all against keeping them in captation. Well, what's the worst word I'm looking for?
Captation?
Yeah, sure, that's it. I don't know what it is. But yeah, it was all about that, and ever since then, SeaWorld is the big one who said we're not going to have any more orcas in here anymore. So I don't know how Free Willy is going to work now. Just a random killer whale living out in the bay somewhere, I guess. But yeah, so that's happening. Keanu Reeves, speaking of Jaws and the ocean, reveals his next film is like Groundhog Day meets Jaws. Film follows a smuggler who gets stuck in a time loop fighting with pirates and sharks while he's on a mission at sea. Okay, I don't know what that's all about, but sure. What's Keanu Reeves? He's in his mid-60s now. He's pretty old, right? Not how old he is.
He's like 60, 61.
He's gotta be up there. And surprising news this week. I love Sacha Baron Cohen. I love Ali G back in the day. I watched the whole series. Of course, Bruno, Borat, all of that. Like it all. I love him as an actor too, and the stuff he's in. I loved him in Ironheart, even though the show was okay. He was great as Mephisto. But he did a surprise filming of him returning as Ali G to do interviews and on the street stuff. And it's going to be like the Borat movie, like the Bruno movie. He's filmed it. It's all done. And he's revived the character. Nobody knew about it. It's hard for him. I could expect it to be very hard for him to go around and do stuff like this. And everybody knows who Sacha Baron Cohen is now. So it's interesting to see him go back to the well on an older character. And I'm wondering how many people actually recognize him versus how many people just let him be interviewed like he was a real person. But interesting. That movie will come out soon. And Sony. We talked all about Sony and the PlayStation last week. We'll talk about it a little bit more this week. There was other news that came out. What was it last week? Last week was the news of course, the 500 movies that are going to be deleted from the system, and digital discs are going away, and everybody had an uproar about that. And they're looking more and more into when you sign all the documents, when you become a member of PlayStation. If you close your account and you're not active on it for at least 36 months, they can take the steps to close it, and you would lose everything that you purchased on it. If you bought a ton of games, you bought movies or anything, they can just cancel it, and you would not be able to get it back at all. Which I don't think anybody ever knew about. You'll get locked out, which would suck, especially if you buy a lot of games, because games are not cheap. If you buy a lot of games on the PlayStation Store, so always sign in and make sure you're active on there. Just to make sure they don't do that.
Go to prison?
I guess you're fucked when you come out. Yeah,
you get out and you're like, oh fuck.
Yep. Video games right now are in a decline. Xbox is laying off 3,200 employees, 20% of its workforce. They are also spinning off or selling a whole bunch of different game makers that they own. Arcane Lion, and a whole bunch of ones. I don't know who they are. I know one of them is the one that did the Blade game. They had exclusive rights to. I believe they're thinking about closing that studio down. So crazy time for video games right now. I think the only successful one right at the moment, besides the PlayStation, just the disc version of just games in general, is the one that you have. The what's the system that you have there? The portable one.
The
That I
Steam,
don't the
Steam Deck.
Steam.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Steam's huge right now.
Yep.
The Switch is huge right now. Switch 2.
They had a bundle when I was looking up Force Unleashed on it, but the Force Unleashed was unplayable on the Steam Deck. You have to use a Steam machine, and it was like 25 Star Wars games for like $75.
Wow,
and I was like, Jesus Christ! Like their deals are insane, which is why like I know the system itself when they release it in the fall is going to be like $1,200. Might be worth it over time because of all the deals you can get off Steam. The only thing is I don't like playing with an Xbox controller, and they kind of force the Xbox controller on you.
Oh, is that really what it is? Yeah.
I mean, I think you can hook up a Switch 2 Pro controller and a PlayStation 5 controller. I just haven't. I should try that with my Steam Deck. But I've been replaying Force Unleashed because that's the next lightsaber I want to get because it's fucking dope. And that game's just a lot of fun. I can't lie. It's fun. Force lifting people and throwing sabers at them and shit, impaling them. Oh yeah, it fucking brings me back 2008 again. Game. Yeah, such a fun game.
Yeah, I was wondering about the Steam machines. I know that comes out in the fall, right? And I know it's big, huge. It looks like a cube. And it's a console you put on your TV. So they're getting into the console, like deep into the console war too. And I talked about it last week. Be a great time for Apple to jump in as well. It's just everything going digital. It's a perfect time for anybody who has the money, who has the means, who has a store like Apple. That's the reason why I said Apple. They have a great store that could obviously change into something more if they want to have more console-like games, like Assassin's Creed or other games that are on the Xbox or PS5 or whatever. But so let's get into some swag.
Swag. Stuff we all get.
Come on, son. You know that's right.
We have the first look of what Nikki the Funko Pop's going to look like with the from the movie Obsession, all bloody, and that's not an official look. It's kind of what it's going to look like, and this is a real picture from Funko. That'll probably come out soon. We got some new McFarlane figures based off the Batman '89 comic series. It was a continuation of the Batman Tim Burton movie, but it's in comic book form. If what's his name, Lando Calrissian from Star Wars, actually ended up becoming Harvey Dent, we've got Batman and we've got Harvey Dent there. Looks awesome.
Did you ever read the Batman '89 comic? It's pretty good.
I have not. It's on my list. Yeah, I want to.
It's on my shelf here. I'll let you borrow it next time we see each other.
Okay. And Justice. This was a comic done by Alex Ross. And we got Batman and Superman in Alex Ross style, which I thought looked really cool in the McFarlane figure. Lego, this came out today as a spy shot, not official, but Donkey Kong, I think its 45th anniversary is this year. And Donkey Kong, an arcade Lego set coming out. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but yeah. Donkey Kong, I think yesterday was the 45th anniversary of Mario. So yeah, there you go. And Hot Toys coming out with a Scarecrow from Batman Begins with Cillian Murphy. It looks awesome.
Nice.
Love the McFarlane. Love the McFarlane figures, but love the Hot Toys even better.
Yes.
Lots of accessories, including the case that he has with all of his poison and his watch, and a lighter that scares Batman with a working flashlight. So, looks awesome. Speaking of Obsession. The lead actress of that, Indy Neverett, says she's interested in joining the MCU and revealed that she recently had a meeting with Jake Schreier, who is set to direct the X-Men reboot. She also said that she's met with Michael Mann for Heat 2 to have a role in that as a lead actress. So she is getting a lot of praise for that movie, and the movie Obsession is going to be on Peacock next week on the 17th. So if you have not seen it, and you haven't bought it, it's a perfect time if you have Peacock to watch it. It's an awesome movie, so worth seeing. Spider-Man Brand New Day, the opening weekend forecast came out today. 230 million to 250 million domestically, which would be the biggest movie of the year. I cannot wait. Comes out just less than 3 weeks from today, so cannot wait. J.K. Simmons says he will not be returning as J. Jonah Jameson in Brand New Day. I do not believe that. Like I mentioned before, there is a wedding happening, and I think it's going to be J. Jonah's son, John. And I think he's probably going to be a part of that wedding. He says he still has not met Tom Holland. He still hasn't seen him. He's filmed all the stuff outside of seeing him, so that's interesting. And a commercial came out today. I wanted to show the clips to it because we see the Punisher and Spider-Man versus Hulk, and we also see the Hulk and Spider-Man facing off up on top of that skyscraper. Looks fucking incredible. I can't wait for this movie. I'm super excited. They announced the panels for Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con. Happens in a couple weeks. Marvel Studios is going to happen on Saturday night, and it's going to last an hour. They're going to have special guests and exclusive looks at what's next. I know Doom is going to have a huge presence there, so cannot wait. And DC is not going to have a huge presence, but they are going to have a presence, and they're going to have a panel for Lanterns. Lanterns is going to have a San Diego Comic-Con panel, I believe, on Friday. It's either Thursday or Friday. I think it's Friday. Kyle Chandler, Aaron Pierre is going to be there. Garrett Dillahunt, Damon Lindelof, Tom King is going to be there. They're also going to have an installation outside, immersive experience. They'll be evaluated by the Guardians through a series of challenges, and if you become a Lantern, you actually go home with a custom Green Lantern ring. So exciting! I wish we were at Comic-Con. That would have been awesome to do. And Spaceballs 2, speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, also going to have a panel there, so I'm hoping for a trailer of some sort. DC News of the Week, Barry Coogan, all the reports saying he's going to be returning for the Batman Part 2 as the Joker alongside Robert Pattinson. Nothing official yet, but we'll see. And this came out this morning, a second Batman spin-off series focusing on Poison Ivy. Is reportedly to be in development in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, same universe as the Penguin. So, given how the Penguin turned out, I'm not surprised that this is happening. Kind of surprised that it's being a series. I'm wondering if she shows up in the next movie. Maybe it's a spin-off of the next movie and just taking like an inside scoop, maybe revealed this. I don't know. Mr. Terrific, speaking of Warner Brothers, speaking of the DCU, Mr. Terrific series is in the works. The writer of The Sandman is writing the pilot. It's in the very beginning stages. This has been rumored for a while. And the next big thing coming out from them, I don't know when this is coming out, probably next year because they're already casting for it, but Jimmy Tatro, who was young Burt Kreischer in The Machine. He's been in a whole bunch of other stuff. I believe I have a picture of him here. He's been cast in the Jimmy Olsen show as Gorilla Grodd, or he's in talks to join the cast as Gorilla Grodd. Gorilla Grodd was done in the Flash series very well. I believe there was a scene with him and Barack Obama. Am I right? Do I remember that correctly? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So I'm wondering how they'll tackle it. Gorilla Grodd was also in Creature Commando, so I'm wondering how they'll tackle this. The series is described as a true crime documentary series set in the DC universe with Jimmy Olsen hosting it. So, yeah, interesting. And James Gunn, there was a big, huge Hollywood Reporter article all about what happened with Supergirl. I guess they had creative differences between him and James Gunn and Craig Gillespie over the direction of how the movie was turning out towards the end, to the point where they both teams, the DC Studios and Craig, did 2 cuts of the film, and they both were shown to testing audiences to see which one came out on top. For months, DC Studios knew that the film wasn't working. Things came to a head in March of this year, and they cut their own version of the film. Let's see what else I have here I want to talk about. Jeremy Slater. He enlisted James Gunn enlisted him to help the post production process. 2 cuts of the film were made. Gillespie's version was 11 minutes longer and featured more of the villain Krem. The cut from DC Studios was the one chosen for the release, and that was the one thing we said was Krem was kind of weakened in the movie, so that would be the reason why. And the other thing was James Gunn also wanted a better needle drop at the end of the movie, and he chose "Girls Just Want to Have Fun," a cover of that by Cyndi Lauper, but that was denied, and of course it became that the middle song by Jimmy Eat World, a slowed down version of that. And the other thing, this article, Hollywood Reporter, came out was a quote from I believe it was an insider, our Hollywood studio head, that said Gen Z does not care about superhero movies anymore. That genre belongs to millennials. And later on, the co-writer of the Batman Part 2 said Hollywood is shifting from a comic book obsession to a video game obsession, which I agree with. I think The Last of Us definitely inflated that. I think the Super Mario movies finally coming out in a movie form definitely inflated that as well. And Zelda coming out next year. I agree with that. But I don't think comic book movies are dead. I don't think they ever will be. It's not the way of like cowboys and Western movies of back in the day. I mean, fuck, they're talking about Spider-Man being a huge movie in 3 weeks. So I don't think it's dead. It just needs to find its footing again.
It's also Spider-Man. Like Batman's always going to sell. Spider-Man's always going to sell. It's the other characters like Supergirl that may never get their footing. And that's
we said it last week.
I mean, no matter what, Batman and Spider-Man are going to sell. Superman will probably do okay. Avengers team up movies will probably do okay. X-Men will probably do okay. But it's the little guys. So we'll see.
Yeah, we said it last week. DC needs to focus on the Trinity, and that's exactly what they need to do. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then build on that, kind of like Marvel did that too. Marvel started off with the Avengers and then built off of it, and it worked. I know what James Gunn's doing. I know he's trying to build a universe, but you need to have the tent poles there. It's very important. Superman's a great tent pole, and I think Man of Tomorrow will be a great continuation of that story that he told. I'm hoping he has more connections to the universe in that movie than he did in the first movie, because that was my one complaint with Superman, was there wasn't a lot of Easter eggs, wasn't a lot of cameos, and I think Man of Tomorrow, if we already know there's a secret casting of Momoa's girlfriend. We don't know who she's playing. Rumors Wonder Woman. If she is Wonder Woman, it'd be a great addition to the cast, great addition to the universe. So, yeah, we'll talk more about that later. And last but not least, Supergirl, all about Supergirl, going to digital next week on, not next week, 28th. Same
allegedly.
Week as...
It hasn't been confirmed yet, but allegedly.
I thought this was confirmed.
I don't think Warner Bros. Has confirmed it. But
okay. I thought it was.
Yeah.
Supposedly coming out on the same weekend as Spider-Man.
Yeah, 3 days before or whatever. Yeah.
Kind of build off the momentum. Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see on that if it's not official. But that's it for our show this week. Next week we'll talk about Cape Fear, House of Dragon, Life Later in the Pursuit of Unhappiness. I'll continue with my talk about X-Men 97, great series. Dark Side of the Ring. We'll talk about the TNA finale. Talk about all about how TNA and Jeff Jarrett left that company. Brand new documentary coming out on Netflix on the 14th called The Real Wolf of Wall Street. May watch that. Also, another movie I'm not sure if I'm going to watch. This is the Will Ferrell movie called The Hawk. It was him playing a golfer. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch that or not. On Tuesday, Backrooms comes out. I will be watching that for the podcast. Nice. And sometime next week, Kevin and I are going to go see the Odyssey. I think we talk about Friday?
I think I might be going like the 10 o'clock on Thursday night is what it sounds like.
That's fine. I'll go with you if you want to go that late. That's fine. But the Odyssey, we're going to see that. We'll talk about it next week. Very excited for that. Love Nolan. Love Nolan just in general. Love his filmmaking. So cannot wait. So thanks everybody. And we will talk to you next week.
Peace.
We're the Geek Blurb crew, here to enlighten you. Talking all things geeky, from movies to wrestling to our podcast is the place where you wanna be for all the latest news and nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. We review comic book flicks and sci-fi hits, riding the wave of action movies with all the cool bits. From Iron Man to Star Wars, we cover it all. And when it comes to wrestling, we never drop the ball. Geek Blurb, we're the kings of the nerds, rating movies and pineapples, our opinions never blurred. Join us each week for a geeky chat with the latest scoop and a dose of nostalgia that. So if you're a fan of the comic book craze, or a lover of sci-fi and all its maze, tune in to Geek Blurb, we're here to entertain, bringing you the best in geekdom, it's our domain.